Anyway, we're going to be jumping into our TvT best of 3 TvT here, kicking it off on site Delta, where of course over here in the bottom right hand corner of the map, I'm remembering again, site Delta LE, LE of course standing for Lizard Emporium, that's
That's a place.
yeah, that's where the ZBZs are at. We are here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom right, where we have our red Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. He, of course, is going to be representing Team Liquid. He is the mayor of Six City himself. He is Cure.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, LE, we have our Chinese Terran player, the blue Terran representing Mystery Gaming. It is Coffee. Fun fact, if you remember, the reason why we stopped saying LE for like a year or 2 years is because they stopped putting LE.
They just stopped putting it, yeah. We no longer had our LEs.
They unironically got rid of LE in the latter edition maps.
It was like, it forced Steel into retirement.
True. But there was like a shaky like transition of hands from Blizzard to ESL, and yeah, there was that 1 or 2 seasons of map pools where when the maps were eventually updated, and the map pool was eventually.
You're saying 1 or 2 seasons. I want to remind everybody who has forgotten or possibly wasn't there. This was when a season or a map pool lasted like a year and a half.
Yeah, unironically, yeah.
So it was like, yeah. So I'm saying 1 or 2 map pools, but really it was like 3 years, something like that.
The COVID era of StarCraft. So for a long time, we actually did not have LE there on the just above the minimap. Now it's back, thankfully. You know, now we have things back under control, and things are more or less how they should be. You know, ladder map seasons are a little more frequent than they were a couple of years ago, even where they were a year long, which was crazy.
I was gonna say, did they? Because I remember they used to, during these dark times, they would just switch every single map. They would get rid of every map and switch them with a new one. So it went from 7 maps to 9 maps, and then 9 fresh maps after that. Or I'm explaining it weirdly, but basically what I mean is there would be no maps carried over from one map pool to the next. I vaguely remember, though, there was one season where half of the maps were LE because they were the new maps, and then half of the maps weren't because it was still from that era.
That was like around 2022 or something. Yeah, that did happen.
There we go. Yeah,
that's you're not wrong. Yeah, those were the dark times, and now we're back where everything should be. You know, it's all ladder edition once again. Even though we don't really have like tournament edition anymore or anything like that, but it's fine. It's fine.
We still have our ESL edition
true.
Here and there.
True. No, you're not wrong. That is true. Which should be the ladder map edition.
I don't. Yeah.
It should be.
No, I'm getting flashbacks to when. I don't remember the name of that map, but it was a map with very heavy lens flare on the ladder edition.
Yeah, oh my god.
And so the ESL edition, they toned it down so that for tournaments it would actually, it wouldn't blind everybody viewing it, but on the ladder, that's what we had to deal with.
Those are the days. Good times.
Those were the dark times.
It blinded us.
Oh. I'm still blind.
For now, we're getting into our openers. We do see Cure opening up with a bit of a kitchen sink drop. We have our Cyclone, our Heli, and a couple of Marines as well, headed towards the natural base. At the same time, Reapers on the right-hand side. And we'll see if Coffee can defend. He does have the units to defend, but not quite in position. We do get 1 SCV so far, but we should fend this off. And now, as we get distracted by the drop, here come those Reapers.
Jumping right above the cliff, gets a full scout, and should be able to... I was going to say take out that SCV, but okay, not actually going to target it. Still should be able to get some damage regardless. The SCV goes down over here. Doesn't quite get a delay on that CC, but we do have the not quite drop. That tank and that Cyclone from Coffee is a good enough deterrent here.
Yeah, 3 SCV kills though, pretty good trade for Cure, bearing in mind they only lost Reapers, and Reapers they don't scale too well into the mid-game, so trading them out for worker kills is always a good thing. Meanwhile, as you mentioned, Coffee did rush into a very fast third CC. Third base is almost done. Cure's is just beginning on location. Now, thankfully for Cure, he has map control. Because of his drop, because of his aggression, he has the confidence and the safetiness to actually throw his down on location, but his goal should be to delay the third of Coffee for as long as he can.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see a push come out from Cure pretty soon. Stim just beginning, but it's going to be much, much quicker than from Coffee. And I was seeing the switch into Viking and tank production coming out here from Cure.
Yeah, you spoke about that move out, and here it is. We're moving out across the map again, as we mentioned, because Cure scouted the third CC, because he knows it is so fast, he knows he has to slow it down. At the same time, Reapers do slip in across the map. We do delay the third base of Cure.
And we bring the army back. Ooh.
Yeah, the army does turn back around, and Reapers in the main base. I gotta be distracting Cure a little bit longer here, and this means that Coffee has some more breathing room. He's still building up, getting to his own Ravens, working towards his own stim. Is it going to be enough, though? Because now Cure is back on the map, moving out once again.
Yeah, this does get scouted here from Coffee, but does Coffee have enough to deal with it? Well, he's got a lot of tanks. He's got Ravens. Yeah, he should be able to deal with this so long as his units are in position and don't get targeted down like that.
Made a very clutch on siege. Very nicely done by Coffee. We do get the disables, but he unsieges just in time. He has a high ground and he saves all of his tanks.
Just like so. Not enough energy on these Ravens for any more disables. Coffee going to be able to, yeah, like you said, siege up on the top of the ramp, and will be able to prevent Cure from going for his throat. But, very important to note, this still is giving Cure complete map control. Coffee has not lifted his third. He knows he's not going to be able to land it. Cure, on the other side of the map, going to be very comfortable getting his third CC mining.
Yeah, Cure, he will have the economic lead, the economic advantage. I'm still very impressed that Coffee was able to preserve his army and able to respond the way that he did. So it was a very nice defense here out of Coffee, but it's not over yet. He's still slowly building up, looking to break out of this contain. The downside here is that Coffee did lose a Raven. He has one more left behind this, but we have the Raven lead for Cure. He will still have disables of his own available.
Oh, that he will, but the Ravens here from Cure are very, very low. If they stray a little bit too far away from his Vikings, I can absolutely see Coffee sniping them down.
Definitely could. For now, though, Cure has air control. He's got the Viking lead. He's going to be containing Coffee even further back into the natural base. Again, still yet to throw down any expansions. Raven trying to come in from behind. Coffee looking to break out.
Oh, can he do it? Can he do it? We'll see as Cure actually going for the kill move here. Disables one of these tanks, lands all of his Vikings, and he should be able to break through this ramp, but the drop from behind actually going to get cleaned up here for Coffee. GG's called, and Cure taking game number 1.
GG, well played. Very decisive play there out of Cure to be able to dive in and break through before the counter breakout, before Coffee was able to come in from behind. He was setting up with the Raven, with the drop, but was a couple of seconds too late there as Cure was the first to pull the trigger.
Indeed, he was. Very nicely done. See Ejals in the chat here. I went to make coffee, but forgot to hit the button. I hope that's on Noman. Well...
Oh no.
Sign.
Hopefully Coffee doesn't forget to press the button. Hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean, he pressed the unsiege button.
I mean, that was really impressive.
So.
That was
yeah.
It's so difficult to unsiege in time to allow yourself to escape those disables. For those that are curious, when your tank gets disabled, you actually can't do anything. You can't unsiege, you can't attack. Like it is rendered just inert, essentially. The tank is, but you can unsiege as the ability is midair before it connects, and if you do that, you can get away.
This is why we need tank-backs back.
We don't. We really
don't. We continue our series now onto Crimson Court, where the law is blood.
Excuse me?
Spill, question mark.
Where I am the law.
Yeah. There we go. But the court is in session.
There you
Crimson
go.
Court, LE. LE, of course, standing for Languishing Experiment. Languishing Experiment. Figure that one out, because I don't remember what.
You're like, I don't know what I just said.
means.
You're like, I didn't even understand.
I forgot the definition of languishing. Anyway, over here in the top right corner of the map, we have our red Terran player coming out from the land of Korea. The mayor of Six City himself taking game number 1 and going for a cheeky 2-Rax proxy in game number 2. We have Cure.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the player being proxied, but thankfully he's going for a double gas servitor. Thankfully, he is not being too greedy here. The Chinese Terran player representing Mystery Gaming, it is Coffee. Oh, he scouts! Let's go!
Scout the proxy. Here we go.
Oh my god. Again, it's proxy 2-Rax Reaper, but it is going to be slightly delayed here as the SCV is going ham, getting some hits in. We do have a second, a third, and a fourth SCV on the way. And can we get this around? Can we shut down the second Rax? Up!
We're going to try. One of the SCVs does fall. The Reaper still a ways off.
Yeah, it's a ways off, and we do deny that second Rax. There is no second SCV moving out for Cure, and we have Reapers on the way. We have the factory on the way. Coffee should be able to defend. There is a chance that maybe we can get some SCV kills here, but it's now on Cure to try to bounce back.
Yeah. Watching, keeping my eye on the control. As so far, yep, this initial Reaper has taken a bit too much damage, and Cure will not be able to keep this up. He's going to wait for the second Reaper to pop out before returning home with his barracks, but yeah, he is quite a fair bit behind from this point forward.
Yeah, Cure, he has to try to back off, lick his wounds. We do have a second Reaper on the way. Ooh, and not a bad KDA charge. We do get another SCV. Very nice done, but at the same time, we're going to be trading out Reapers for an SCV as Coffee does come out on top in that trade.
Just like so. Oh, what about the third Reaper?
It's coming. The Reaper is coming at the same time. Coffee just going to be rallying everything across the map. We do have our 2 Reapers. We have our Hellion as well back at home. Cure, what does he have? He's got a Cyclone in production. And without that Cyclone, we can get some SCV kills.
He can get, yeah, quite a few SCV kills. That was a good KD8 charge coming out here from Cure, but I'm not convinced it's gonna be enough. Oof. Cyclones, man, it just takes so long to pop out. The Reaper goes down as well from Cure. Oh, Cure getting a decent surround, but this is a lot of lost mighty time. The SCVs clumping up.
The SCVs, they do line up. 6 SCVs go down. We clean this up. Look how low so many of them are. And again, this is all because of the failed proxy. And we do have additional Hellions and Reapers out on the map, but it looks like, Coffee has overextended a little bit.
Yeah. Potentially. As this force is going to go down, but at the same time, you know, just economically speaking, Coffee is so far ahead that I think he can afford to lose this little attack force.
Yeah, I mean, Coffee, he's up in workers, and Coffee's natural base is done. Cure's just started. Cure's base literally just began here, and again, that's just how far behind Cure is right now. He lost so many workers earlier, just now working on the starport. Starport is already done for Coffee. Coffee, he's ahead, I think, under every metric possible here in this TvT. Now, it's not impossible to bounce back here. Like, TvT is very positional based. If we can get to the mid game, then Cure can bounce back, but that's a big if. You know, there's a lot of pressure right now on Cure.
That there is, and I'm sure Coffee is well aware of that. I'm sure that he's doesn't want to get to the a stage of the game where Cure actually has a more of a possibility to bounce back off the back of these tanks. So there we go, Cyclone Drop making its way across the map. At least one tank should be able to pop out from this factory, but you know, with good enough target firing, I can definitely see Coffee targeting it down, continuing to keep Cure back.
Yeah, for now we get one SCV kill. We do pull back at the same time. Hellion hits the natural base. And do we get an SCV? It looks like we do! 2 workers going down. Very nicely done here by Coffee. Doesn't look like a lot, but bearing in mind that Cure doesn't have many workers to begin with. Every SCV is valuable right now for Coffee. For Cure, as Coffee is building up.
Yeah. Mules can only do so much when your opponent has mules as well.
That's the
In fact, when your opponent has more mules.
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem in TvT. Like, mules, true, but what about more mules?
Just saying. Yeah.
Huh? Look, when people say TvT is unwinnable, I mean, how could you deny it?
Exactly. Just, you know, watch some coffee builds.
There you go.
That's how you win.
Just press the coffee button.
Yeah.
Just
remember to press it.
Oh god, he gets it!
Oh, and he will be able to get it! Oh, nice bit of damage here from Cure. Very good trade.
Yeah, very nicely done, this Cure. He does shut down that initial Cyclone drop. Meanwhile, Coffee is pushing out across the map. We spoke about it, or you spoke about it, about how Coffee was hoping to knock Cure down before he stabilized, and here comes that tank push. We have 2 tanks, we have 2 Ravens, we have Disable researched, and we're looking to crush into, or bust into, this natural.
Yeah, we don't have any eyes on the move out just yet. Cure doesn't have eyes on it. He does now. Cyclones across the map. Gonna try to get something done. Coffee is having his attention stretched a little bit. Vikings trying to snipe the Ravens. They will pop out their auto turrets. No disables. And with that, Cure's actually going to be able to hold.
Yeah, the lack of disables is concerning across the map. A lot of SCVs going down to the Cyclones. Very nice juggling. Oh my god.
And just like that, Cure was down in his grave. And now he's digging himself out of it.
He is digging out. 12 SCVs go down. We finally shut down the drop, but the drop did more than pay for itself. Meanwhile, this push fell on its face. And Cure is stabilizing. Scan into the main base confirms there is no third base. Third CC is on the way for Coffee, so he at least has that advantage. But worker-wise, Cure has caught up.
Exactly. I mean, Coffee will be getting his third base quicker, but not by that much, as Cure has just thrown down his third as well. So, any advantage that Coffee had earlier in this game... Actually, yeah, any advantage Coffee had earlier in this game is pretty much gone. I mean, he's got 1 Raven.
Yeah.
And you don't want to underestimate that, but...
True.
Yeah, economy-wise, production-wise, Cure has been able to bounce back.
Yeah, because even though, sure, we have a Raven, it's only 1, and Cure has a Viking lead. And with that Viking lead, we can just, again, outmaneuver and just outposition that Raven as well and zone it away and even focus it down before it can really add any value to a fight. So... again, both players have their own differences in their compositions, but for the most part, we are neck and neck here. Very impressive that Cure was able to bounce back the way that he did. Not easy to do.
Yeah. Absolutely not easy to do. It's even more difficult to do, or something that's even more difficult to do is get ahead of your opponent on upgrades when you're in a position like that. Cure going to be the first player to get stim, and Coffee, it's a long ways off for him. I don't believe he has a tech lab. He does have a tech lab on one of his barracks, but yeah, he's just not researching it.
Yeah, no stim yet for Coffee, and here comes the move out from Cure. He's moving out with his Vikings, moving out with his tanks. Again, Cure stayed on a very low Marine count. He's been hyper-fixated on tank Viking. So the army itself has its vulnerabilities, that is true, but for the most part, he is still shocking around the map, still safe and sound. And Coffee trying to keep up here and has yet to start his upgrade. Hopefully he starts it soon.
Yeah, I'm just staring at... There we go. Yeah. I'm just staring at the income and the bank, the gas bank specifically. Vikings and Cure sharking around, trying to see if it can get a cheeky little snipe here and there. Also giving a little bit of scouting information to let Cure know whether or not he can take a chance, whether or not there's an opening. There isn't one yet.
Yeah, he tries to find more, but a massive tank full is go. Coffee was lying in wait. 1 tank goes down. Not a bad start here for Coffee. At the same time, Viking sharking around. The Viking lead is actually not in favor of anyone. It's 11 versus 11, so we have an even Viking count for both players, and no vehicle upgrades yet by the Cure or Coffee.
Yeah, no ships, no ground vehicles, no nothing. But Stim has finished up here for Cure, and we're waiting on 2 medevacs.
Waiting on those medevacs.
Cure, he wants to pull the trigger.
Yeah, bioproduction has begun for now. Cure, he was being active, but now he pulls back. He's respecting the momentum that now Coffee has. Bearing in mind that because the Viking counts are even, this Raven is that much more impactful here, can be that much more useful, either for the anti-armor missile, and there it is, he goes to Vikings!
And he will be able to coat every single Viking in that anti-armor missile. Cure cannot fight this just yet. Can try to snipe the Raven, but he's going to be leaving himself uber vulnerable. Another anti-armor missile.
Yeah.
So now here on the Vikings.
But is it going to be enough here, as it looks like we do force Cure back? Coffee gains control of the air, but only momentarily, as he still has to pull back. We do see reinforcements getting caught out, and Cure holds.
Like so, once again. I really feel for our viewers, as both of our players are trying to be active, trying to be aggressive, but we're getting a little stalemated.
Just a little bit here. And I mean, that's TvT in a nutshell, right? Like, these siege lines are so difficult to break here. That's why positioning is key in TvT and can just win you games. Even if you're down in army supply, things can very much so go your way. As Cure is going for a double jump towards the left-hand side, is trying to be active, but Vikings likewise also getting in position.
Oh, yeah, they will be able to catch the medevacts if they go that way, but this is very, very smart from Cure, honestly. Dropping his Marines before going into position, he should be able to snipe these Vikings.
Oh, he goes to the stim, but Coffee does barely react in time. He pulls away, thankfully. Does avert disaster there, especially with the Raven in conjunction with these Vikings. Oh, no!
Raven!
Up! Oh.
Will now go down. Only one Viking will fall.
Yeah, Coffee playing with fire there. Could have lost the Raven, did lose the Viking. Nonetheless, still a good pick up there by Cure. Scans trying to get eyes on the drop. Meanwhile, both armies are still just building up back at home. Look at the units tab. We've got 9 Vikings for Cure. We've got 9 tanks for Cure. We have 11 tanks for Coffee. So tank counts slightly in favor of Coffee, slightly, but really the game is slowing down. And oh my god, we're going into mass starport production.
Yeah. Wise man once told me, endgame Terran, or endgame TvT, mech or bio, is Sky Terran. And Cure just looking to kickstart that as early as possible.
Yeah, it's all about that Sky Terran. It's all about that air control in TvT. You can go Mass Viking into Mass BC, or even Mass Raven. You have a couple of options at the end game there with how you want to approach it.
Yeah, you can get BCs, or you can get Liberators. Got a lot of options here in the end game.
And it's still all Sky Terran, true. Like, you're like, can I make Marine? It's like, kinda, not really. It's not ideal.
Well, if you get into the post end game, the after end game,
right? The post
then
game
you can
credits.
get Marines.
Yeah. The after credits.
Yeah. That's when you see the teaser for the next phase of movies. Yeah.
Yeah, for the next game.
Next phase of Terran. Then you can go Mass Marine again.
Okay.
And ironically, when you take out when two Sky Terran armies go up against each other, the first player to mass up Marines is usually the one who wins.
Oh yeah, especially if
it just takes so long to remake all of those high-tech units.
Definitely. Especially if the BC count is low as well, right? Because then if they're stuck with all these Vikings, they can't really do much against Mass Marine. But here we go, we have a massive committed drop on the left-hand side. Marines are keeping up tanks, they do siege up in time, and Cure will get here to fend off Coffee. Both players taking their 4th bases. Again, at this point, both players are going to be maxing out. Coffee's going to be the first to reach that 200 supply, but can he make use of that supply? That is the question as we are moving out on the right-hand side. The disable!
The Raven does go down, but it is able to land one disable first. There just aren't a lot of tanks over in this location here for Cure. Meanwhile, because Cure is forced to the north, Coffee is pushing towards the south.
Yeah, we're trying to get in position. Raven going to be sniped. The second Raven barely does survive as well, but Coffee does wedge himself in between the 3rd base and the natural out-positioning Cure.
That's a lot of tanks.
That is a lot of tanks, but that's also a lot of Vikings, and Coffee, he's coming out worse for wear in the Viking trade. Does take a massive anti-armor missile to the face, does bleed out a lot of Vikings. The tanks, we have not yet gained much ground. We have to push in.
Do have to push in. And the tanks of Cure are just not quite able to shell away at the tank line, or prevent the tank line of Coffee from really moving in. Coffee coming in with mass reinforcements, flanking every Viking.
Yeah, Coffee bleeds out all of his Vikings. He lost every single Viking in that skirmish, but he has Marines. And Vikings do not shoot down, so the Marines are going to be able to sit on forward. They can threaten more of these bases. There are tanks on the high ground, though, so he has to be very careful with how he does engage. And it looks like Coffee isn't able to gain too much more ground. He does try to push forward. He goes to the Stim.
Does go for the Stim. Will be not quite able to take out one of these tanks. A moment of opportunity there. That tank was a little bit distracted dealing with the other tanks, but not quite able to do much in the end. One Liberator pops out, and that is all it takes when your opponent has 0 Vikings.
Yeah, that's why the air control is so important here. Mass Viking into Mass Liberator. What is the answer to the Libs? That's to be Vikings. The problem is that Cure has the Viking lead. Coffee, instead of rotating over towards the left-hand side, trying to catch Cure out of position, but now we have more freedom. Now we have more liberation zones.
Has arrived. Yeah, Cure has Liberator, still has a very healthy tank count, and these Marines just aren't able to do anything, really. Ooh. They're gonna try to stim on top of the Liberator, no! Yeah, but instead they stim right into their death.
Exactly, the tanks, they're there to support the Marines. They go down one after the other, massive tank volleys going off, and Coffee just is not breaking through. He had a pretty successful push earlier in between the bases, but now he is overextending. Tanks are going down, Marines are going down. We can see Coffee trying to sneak up on this planetary, and he looks like he might be able to. Cure is a little bit late to respond.
Yeah, the Liberator's not quite in position to deal with all of these tanks, so he can try to siege up and shell away at that base, but once Cure gets eyes on that, he pulls away. Cure still the defender for now. Takes a little bit of time to just chip away at this siege line.
Yeah, exactly. As Coffee does have to retreat, and Cure is maxed out. Cure may have lost all of his center towers, but he is maxed out. Massive disables here on the tank. Sims on forward. Boys have been pulled. I don't think that was intentional there.
It might have been to repair, but yeah, probably not intentional. But now, yeah, we've gotten to the point where Cure has been able to rebuild. He has so much energy on these Ravens. Disables everything. It doesn't matter that Coffee has been able to overtake the Viking count, because now the tanks are a non-factor. GG.
GG.
That was brilliantly done from Cure. Not gonna lie, that was Cure bouncing back from from a proxy that fell completely on its face, for Cure to just hang on just long enough to get into that tank stage, just long enough to have a strong defensive line, and then start evening things out just barely with that cyclone drop across the map. That was absolutely brilliant. That was Cure showing what the fundamental strengths of where the fundamental strengths of TvT really lies in the positioning of the tanks, in the air dominance of the Vikings. That, was great.
Yeah, really impressive stuff there out of Cure. As you mentioned, like, the MVP of Cure that game was that Cyclone drop, right? That Cyclone drop did pull him back into the game. It got 12 SCV kills while he defended back at home. It did just allow him to bounce back, and from that moment, Cure, he was suddenly in the driver's seat. Suddenly Coffee was having a bit of a harder time, had some advantages of his own, but alas, just could not break through, could not break the defensive line. As you mentioned, so important to take control of the air there in TvT. Mass Vikings, so important, not just so you can kill the Vikings of your opponent, but to get into Liberator production, to take control of the ground and the sky.
Yeah, Cure was absolutely backed into the corner with that maxed out push from Coffee. Coffee had so many tanks, and they were in such strong positions, but very decisively, Cure did go for that anti-armor on the Vikings. He did take them out, completely wipe them. And so literally it only took one Liberator for Coffee to kind of lose his grip there.
Exactly. All it takes sometimes is one lib. And in the end, we had more than that, but, it all began with that first Liberator, just forcing Coffee back, saving Cure in his time of need, when he was being forced back out of his own natural even. Like, things looking a little bit dire there for Cure. It was impressive that Coffee had found his way in there, but just wasn't able to keep pushing. GG, well played. Congratulations to Cure as he does take the series. My condolences to Coffee as he does bow out of the tournament. It is single elimination. And with that, Cure advances on to his next opponent. The bracket.
Indeed, he was waiting for a while, but Raynor has an opponent on his hands.